What is up, my YouTube family? Welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time here, then it's just welcome to my channel. Now, welcome back. Go ahead and hit the subscribe button because you will not be disappointed, honey, unless your taste level is not up to par. And if you're one of those girls, that's just what it is. Everyone else, hi, welcome. Y'all, am I the only girl still using the lip injection? I know they came out with a 2, but the 1 works for me, honey. Just fine. And I wears it out. You guys, we are talking about a very tragic story today, that of Sade Carlina Robinson, born on May 10th, 2004 in Vicksburg, Mississippi. Let's just do that. Okay. Now, although she was born in Vicksburg, Mississippi, when she was very young, her and her family moved to Milwaukee. And this was before she even started grade school, from what I saw. So Milwaukee is where she was raised. Growing up, she's a good girl. She gives her mother no issues. She does her schoolwork. She's actually the opposite of a problem child. She and her younger sister are very close with their mom. They have a very good relationship, and her younger sister is also very close with them. After high school, Carlina enrolls at the Milwaukee Area Technical College to pursue an Associate's of Arts degree in Criminal Justice Studies. And she is set to graduate in May of 2024, just days before her 20th birthday. While in school, she gets her little job down to the pizza shuttle, where she can really showcase her personality. And she also works a second job at the Wisconsin Country Club. But despite her very demanding full schedule, she manages to stay on top of the things. With both the school and work, she is very reliable. So on April 2nd, when she fails to show up at her 2 p.m. shift at the pizza shuttle and nobody has heard from her, she didn't call in, they're unable to reach her, so her team immediately defaults to worry, thinking that something bad must have happened because this is not her character at all. Now, by that evening, when her mother and sister have not heard from her either, and neither of them have been able to reach her, they go to the Milwaukee police and report her missing. This report is at 9 p.m. And what the police come to realize is that her disappearance is linked to a call that they had gotten earlier in the day at 7:30 a.m. roughly 13 hours earlier. And this call was from a person who reported seeing a man in a gray hoodie carrying a tan backpack get out of a car and then toss a lighter into it as he was walking away, leaving the car in flames. The car, a 2020 Honda Civic, belongs to 19-year-old Sade Robinson, and her cell phone, along with an outfit of hers, are found in the trunk of the car, but she's not in the car. Her car had been left behind an abandoned building about 3 miles away from Sade's apartment. Then later that night that her mother reports her missing, police receive yet another call. 2 friends were taking a walk alongside Lake Michigan when they see floating in the water what they initially assumed was just a piece of driftwood, but turns out to be a severed human leg. So you can imagine how disturbed they are when not only do they make this discovery, but then they're asked to stay right there till the police get there so they can find the exact location that is in. And a preliminary DNA test reveals that this limb belongs to missing 19-year-old Sade. Now, luckily, her cell phone was only partially damaged by the fire, since as soon as it was lit, police were made aware and they were able to get it put out. So investigators are able to retrieve data from it. Sade, her sister, and her mom, they used this Life 360 app, which had been tracking her location throughout the evening of April 1st, the night before she disappeared. And because of that, they're very quickly able to establish a timeline of her, unfortunately, final moment. So April 1st started like any other day for Sade. It was a Monday. She worked a shift at the pizza shuttle, and she told a few of her work friends during her shift that she had a date planned for the evening after she got off. It would be her second date with a guy that she had met a couple weeks earlier by the name of Maxwell Anderson. Maxwell is 33. He is a very well-known bartender in the Milwaukee area, specifically on the nightlife scene, and he has worked at several of Milwaukee's most popular establishments. Now, their first date had been several days before on March 29th, where they went to Victor's bar and hung out for a bit, and Sade was so excited about this second date that she even mentioned her plans to a member of her apartment building's maintenance team. So Mom was excited. The second date begins at 5:20 p.m. on April 1st. The 2 first meet for dinner and a few drinks at a seafood restaurant called Twisted Fisherman Crab Shack, one of the many establishments that Maxwell has been an employee of. About an hour before that, at 4:15 p.m., he had texted Sade, "Are you hungry? I need to stop by Twisted Fisherman to pick up my W-2 from last year, and we could eat there first." She responds back, "Okay," and yes. "Are we eating at the Brat House or the other place?" And then he responds and says, "Let's eat at Twisted. I'm feeling seafood." To which she replies, "Yes, I love seafood." And here they are seated at the bar together where they had their meal and alcohol. Now, the two of them are there for about an hour or so, and from what can be seen on camera and from the bartender's account, she did not seem uncomfortable at any point. The two of them seemed to be really having a great time. There was no evidence of any discomfort or distress. Now, after dinner at the Twisted Fisherman, they made their way down to the second spot, which was right down the street, called Duke's on Water, yet another place where Maxwell previously worked. And they arrived at this second place at exactly 6:33 p.m. Maxwell had his arm around Sade as he walked her through the doorway. They played beer pong. They had a few more drinks. Maxwell is also taking shots on top of the drinks. And there seemed to be quite a few people in there that he knew. Not only people that worked there, but also like patrons there, because he is spending a lot of time making his rounds, talking to other people. And unlike at the restaurant, Sade does not appear to be enjoying herself as much or as comfortable. Several people who were there at the time described her as being or appearing to be bored, disengaged. On the security cameras, while you can see Maxwell making his rounds and like chatting with patrons and employees, Sade is more reserved, more off to herself. And at 8:30 p.m., Maxwell walks out of the bar, takes a phone call, and I'm not quite sure how long the phone call lasted, but I do know the two of them, he and Sade, left that bar 33 minutes later at 9:03. And just as he had done, as they walked into the bar, Maxwell wraps his arm around Sade as they walk out and as they're walking to her car. And this is the last time that Sade is seen alive publicly. Her Life 360 app shows that they left the bar and went to Maxwell's home address, arriving at 9:30 p.m., where Maxwell had apparently been planning for such a night. His basement had been prepped as what investigators describe as a sex dungeon, equipped with all kinds of instruments. There are restraints, and there are these tarps covering the floor, as if he was expecting to make a mess. And exactly 1 month prior to this night that he's brought Sade back to his place, he had actually brought a friend there and shown them the basement and described his plans in full detail, saying that he would afterward take pieces of them and scatter them about the city. Sade's phone left the location of Maxwell's house just 3.5 hours after it had arrived at 1 a.m. And according to the phone's GPS data, it then traveled around town through downtown Milwaukee and then made its way over to Warnemont Park around 3 a.m., the same place where her leg would be discovered hours later. And security cameras in the area actually capture a figure his size and frame walking along the embankment at that time. They looked through the text messages on Sade's phone to see like what are the kind of things she would say about Maxwell. Were there any red flags or any kind of indication that there was a cause for concern? But there was none. She only spoke highly of him. He had only been nice to her. I repeat, he had only been nice to her. And this is the thing, pause for a moment, because I saw somebody had like posted one of those memes about women who watch these kinds of things who fall asleep to true crime. And they're like, oh, like that's a red flag. And somebody made the point like women a lot of times will watch it to learn things, and like they pick up on things and it's really beneficial in their way. And the person was like really challenging that. Like, how can they, what are they possibly learning? The things, okay? The things that, child, anywho. If you get it, you get it. On with the story. So he has obviously dropped the leg there. That is also where her phone pings for the last time. It dies there at the location, and he takes that along with her clothes, puts them in the trunk to then burn the car a couple of hours later. Surveillance cameras throughout the area then catch Sade's car being driven to several places around town where he is going and stashing different parts of her near a train track, in another park, just random places around the city. And then he is also captured on surveillance cameras walking away from the car moments after it had been set on fire. He then boards this bus, sits amongst the public. Like, look at this girl sitting across from a whole killer in her little blue Crocs, and she has no idea. You never know who you on the elevator with. That is creepy. And this bus was headed back toward his home. Investigators obtained a search warrant for that house, and one of the main things that sticks out to them immediately is this red splatter going down the wall into the basement. They find several cans of gasoline, which they believed is the same gasoline he had used to set her car on fire. He is arrested on April 4th of 2024, just 2 days after his horrible crime. And it had taken them that 48 hours to piece it all together and collect all of the security footage that they had to from all of the businesses. And Maxwell was actually arrested during a routine traffic stop just down the street from his house. He had on the gray hoodie that matched the description given by the witness who had called about the car. So child, he just made this very easy for them to come and collect him. For the next 3 days consecutively, less than 1 mile from the car fire, a portion of remains are found in scattered in a different area. On April 18th, 17 days after her disappearance, her torso and arm were found in South Milwaukee, and then nearly a month later on May 11th, an arm washed up on a beach in Waukegan, Illinois. That was the last of her that was found, but her family unfortunately still does not have all of her. They are missing her head and neck, and I just feel like he's so sick. I think is the reason why that's still missing. Like, he probably put that in a special place. He is Child, on April 12th, he was formally charged with murder in the first degree, along with several other charges for mishandling her after the fact and the arson. And so with all of these things, he is facing up to life in prison without the possibility of parole. And of course, he goes to court and decides he wants to plead not guilty. He claims that he is innocent of all of the charges brought against him. And where his initial trial was set to begin in December of 2024, his defense team was granted their request to postpone the trial because they claimed that they needed a lot more time to go through all of the evidence against their client. So it was rescheduled for May 27th of 2025, and oh boy, has yet to show an ounce of remorse, of course, because he has none. I wasn't expecting it. Now, the jury consisted of 9 women and 3 men. The prosecution called several witnesses, laid out all of the damning evidence, which also included photos that were later found on Maxwell's phone. Very sick photos. There's one of Sade in a very incapacitated state, laid across his couch. She's laid face down. He is groping her. Is also exposed, and even with all of this, his defense team said there was no direct proof tying their client to this crime. They tried to lean on the fact that that red splatter on the wall, that blood did not come back as a DNA match to Sade. But the prosecution argued that that doesn't mean that he's innocent of what he did to Sade. It just means he likely has another victim. His lawyers also argued that none of Maxwell's neighbors reported hearing any disturbances, any screams or anything coming from his home that night that would have had he done this to her there. And they said that he might have been the last person to see her alive, but all of this evidence is circumstantial and not sufficient enough to prove beyond reasonable doubt that he did this to her. Even with the pictures. A lawyers sometimes just get up here and say anything, don't they? The defense chose not to put their client on the stand to testify on his own behalf. They didn't call a single witness, and at the very last moment, they attempted to throw a Hail Mary and made a motion to dismiss all charges. Basically, pretending like the prosecution did not make their case, they don't have any solid evidence, this should just be thrown out. But the judge denies it. The jury deliberated for less than an hour before returning their verdict, which was guilty on all charges. Now, a lot of Sade's friends and family members attended the final day of court to hear the verdict, but Maxwell's parents, who had attended every day of trial every day of court up to that point were notably absent. I guess they knew what was about to be said about their son, and they probably didn't want no problems in the hallways and on the sidewalks after the fact. And outside of the courtroom, Sade's mother, Sheena, had this to say about the verdict. She will forever be remembered as an angel, a light worker who's touched so many souls, so many lives in the Milwaukee community. She also credited her daughter for essentially solving her own case by leaving such a digital footprint, letting people know where she was going. That's always a good idea, people, who you're going to be with. Now, his sentencing has not yet taken place. It is scheduled for August 15th of this year, 2025, if you watching this in the future. And he likely ain't gonna make it out of prison alive. I don't see him walking out of them jail doors with his little bag of things. Oh yeah, and Miss Sheena, Sade's mother, Miss Sheena done filed a wrongful death suit against Maxwell and is suing the 2 bars that her daughter attended with Maxwell that served her daughter alcohol, because mind you, she was 19. Best of luck to mama with the lawsuits. I know it won't fill the void, but I want her to get all of her things. And I hope Maxwell, when he get to prison jail, in the jail hall, he gets his little tray, on himself, loses his balance, and then falls backwards right onto it. Sister, what did you see? I mean, I get that, but I don't get this. You know what I'm saying? Look at him. We need him off the streets anyway. Ooh, now why I do that and you didn't pass gas, girl? To pursue an associate's. And because of that, they're quickly able to establish a timeline. Timeline. You might not have heard it. It's almost wrong with what I just said then. My tongue is all over the place. Called Dukes on Water. Another place where y'all see my lips done preheating. 3.5 hours after it arrived. I was gonna try to make it through. Just 3.5 hours after it had arrived. Girl, y'all know my tongue like to play games. What? I cannot write.